The A-3 Skywarrior, often nicknamed the Whale due to its considerable size, was a jet-powered strategic bomber designed for the U.S. Navy, introduced in 1956. It was the heaviest aircraft to routinely operate from aircraft carriers. While initially intended for nuclear bombing missions, the versatile design allowed it to evolve significantly over its long service life. The A-3B Skywarrior variant in particular was reconfigured for critical electronic reconnaissance (ELINT) and electronic warfare missions. These electric whales played a vital role in gathering intelligence and jamming enemy radar during the Cold War and the Vietnam War, often operating from carrier decks and land bases. Other variants include aerial refueling tankers, the A-3B, photographic reconnaissance, A-3B, and the radar training aircraft A-3B. The A-3 Skywarrior remained in service for 35 years, finally being retired by the U.S. Navy in September 1991, with some even seeing action in the first Gulf War.
Fly, leaving the ground. Wings of war in sky so wide. Power and courage side by side. Brave souls ride where few have gone. On a ship of might, from dusk to dawn. Engines roar and steel boots pound. The brothers and sisters duty bound. A floating city, strong and proud. Home to those who stand unbound. Wings of a war in sky so wide. Power and courage side by side. Brave souls ride where few have gone. On a ship of might, from dusk to dawn.
How y'all folks doing this fine day? It's Gator here at the cable company. I'm so glad you stopped in to see me today. Today we got a good one. We're going over the Douglas A-3 Skywarrior. It is a jet-powered strategic bomber that was developed and produced by the Douglas Aircraft Company. It was designed by Douglas on behalf of the United States Navy, which sought a carrier-capable strategic bomber. In July 1949, Douglas was awarded the contract to produce this design, having bested 8 other aircraft companies. Submissions, unlike rival designs, which had aimed for a 100,000-pound maximum takeoff weight. The Skywarrior was developed for a 68,000-pound takeoff weight, facilitating its use from the Navy's existing Midway-class aircraft carriers. Large portions of the aircraft were produced by Westinghouse Electric Corporation, including the earlier Westinghouse J-40 turbojet engines. which failed to meet promises and were replaced by the rival Pratt & Whitney J57 engine, and by mid-1953, on the 28th of October 1952, the prototype A-3D-1 performed the type's maiden flight. On March the 31st, 1956, the Skywarrior entered squadron service with the Navy. Initially used in the nuclear-armed strategic bomber role, the emergence of the effective ballistic missile led to this mission being deprioritized by the early 1960s. Throughout the majority of its later service life, the Skywarrior was tasked with various secondary missions, which included use of an electronic warfare platform, tactical reconnaissance aircraft, and high-capacity aerial refueling tanker. It was among the longest-serving carrier-based aircraft in history, having entered service during the mid-1950s, with withdrawn from use in 1991. Throughout its service, the Skywarrior was the heaviest operational aircraft to operate from an aircraft carrier, which contributed to its nickname of the Whale. There you go, A-3. The Skywarrior is one of the only 3 U.S. Navy attack aircraft to enter service in the strategic bomber role. The first was its predecessor, the North American A.J. Savage. Its successor, the supersonic North American A-5 Vigilante, initially supplemented the A-3 in the strategic bomber role in 1961 through 1963, but was then converted to a tactical strike reconnaissance role. A modified derivative of the Skywarrior was the B-66 destroyer, served in the United States Air Force, where it was operated as a tactical bomber, electronic warfare aircraft, and aerial reconnaissance platform up until its withdrawal during the 1970s. During World War II, the United States Navy, the USN, began to explore the concept of operating jet-powered aircraft from its aircraft carriers. Success encouraged further development of the concept early in post-war years. Officials within the USN began to investigate the use of jet-powered as a potential means of operating larger carrier-based aircraft that would be capable of performing the strategic bombing missions. The USN had a growing awareness that it could operate in a broader role than had been previously possible, and that the strategic bomber fleet operated by the United States Air Force, the USAF, was unable to reach large parts of the world, a lesser limitation to forward deploy USN aircraft carrier groups and their air wings. In January 1948, the Chief of Naval Operations issued a requirement to develop a long-range carrier-based attack plane that could deliver either a 10,000-pound bomb load or a nuclear weapon. The envisioned aircraft was intended to operate from the planned United States-class supercarriers, which were significantly larger than the USN existing carriers. Thus, the specification set a targeted load weight of 100,000 pounds. Additionally, the USN sought for this bomber to possess greater speed and range than the existing North American A.J. Savage fleet. A total of 8 aircraft manufacturers produced responses to the specification, but all except Douglas Aircraft Company and Curtiss-Wright would drop out, declaring that there was no means that the requirements could be met within the 100,000-pound weight limitation. Uncertainty over the performance and requirements of both engines and bombs were major contributing factors toward the climate of negativity. Ed Heinzman Douglas, chief designer, later to win fame for the A-4 Skyhawk, fearing that the United States class was vulnerable to cancellation, proposed a significantly smaller aircraft of 68,000 pounds, loaded weight capable of operating from the USN's existing carriers. Heinzman had reasoned correctly that as technology developed, the size and weight of nuclear weapons would substantially decrease, which increased the rationale for designing a more compact bomber. However, figures such as the USAF General Hope Vandenberg ridiculed Heinzman's proposal as making it irresponsible claims. During this period, the USN and the USAF were vigorous rivals, each seeking to maintain funding for its projects at the expense of others in a time marked by drastically declining defense budgets. Specifically, the USAF officials frankly voiced their open opposition to the construction of United States class carriers. It was a strategic bomber. National origin of the United States. Manufacturer was the Douglas Aircraft Company. Its status is it's retired. Primary user the United States Navy. The number built was 282. History is manufactured from 1956 to 1961. Introduction date was 1956. First flight was on October 28, 1952, and it was retired on September 27, 1991. Developed into a Douglas B-66 destroyer. Well, there you go. There you have it. There's a little short history on the A-3 Skywarrior. What an aircraft that was. They call it the Whale. Pretty heavy, huh? Wow. I seen one. Did you see that? You got that one? You guys see that one that crashed off the carrier? I seen a video. That's pretty awesome. It was so heavy it just went down like that. You know, it just hit the water. The guy jumped out. You know, he bailed out. I appreciate every one of you for stopping in to see me today. I love you guys. You're one of a kind. Come on back and see me. We'll do some more of these, okay? Bye-bye for now. Live long and prosper.